bring in Ray Ratto from Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area. He was there last night as the Giants went down in flames. That bullpen came back to haunt you. Ray, how would you describe what happened there at the end?
Like a bunch of other games, watching a star collapse to the size of a diamond. Because they've imploded bigger times than this, but never on that level of stage, and with that many pitchers. I mean, it literally was a conga line. There was like a furrow from the bullpen to the mound, and it got better and better and better. I mean, it felt like a train wreck, and it got to be almost weirdly hilarious because they'd had bullpen problems all year, but this was the one where basically they emptied out everything they had and couldn't figure anything out. I mean, it took 24 minutes, 24 pitches, 6 guys, and they blew a 3-run lead. It was, I mean, you can't make stuff up like that unless you drink more than most of us do.
And you don't get a chance to see Bumgarner again, but I felt like the Cubs did not, one of all the teams, they did not want to face this team in the playoffs, their ability to win games. But you're right, the bullpen came back and haunted them. But did you get any sense of what this Cub team is really all about after watching this series?
Well, I think I sort of knew because, I watch a lot of baseball, but you see it up close. And I will say this, if you haven't seen Javier Baez in person, you're not getting the whole picture. You literally have to be at the ballpark watching how quick his hands are and how smart a player he is, because it just emanates off him. I mean, and you can't get the full sense on TV because everything is sort of slightly distorted and sped up. But when you see it in real time with your eyes, you just go, he's doing things that can't be done, and there should be an investigation.
Are the Cubs the last great sports story?
No, I think they're a reprise of the Red Sox before they became, a mega money team. It's sort of a retelling of that, only with additional years tacked on. But I think as the last great sports story, I mean, we'll find another one because we always do. I think it would be more interesting if they had won before the Red Sox did, because then there wouldn't be a template that we could compare them to. But the Red Sox are that template, and so in that way, there's a little bit of we've seen this for a national audience in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the needle's way in the red, but everywhere else, I think it's more of a we saw that, and it's sort of like how people in England feel about Leicester City. It's just you take a team that's never been anything, and then all of a sudden give them all the lotteries at once, and you get that sense. But no, I mean it's still going to be a tremendous story. It's just we've seen it before in a different way in a different town. But locally, it's the only thing going.
Niners decided to start Colin Kaepernick Sunday against Buffalo. Why is he starting now?
Well, I think Chip Kelly has seen more than enough, and I don't know that he can sort of, internally defend the decision to keep trotting Gabbard out there, knowing full well that Kaepernick is not a fix because their problems are far more varied than that. But, you're sort of in a situation, well, what can I fix? I can't get a whole new roster. My defense has lost its best player. What can I do? And I think this is what this feels like more than anything else. It's, Gabbard has struggled, but he struggled because he has basically no wide receiver. Mm-hmm. He has one running back that every defense in the league just sort of triples down on. So I think it's just a matter of, well, this is the next thing we got to try. And if this doesn't work, well, then, we're screwed. But, I think if you waited a whole lot longer, then you've thrown the season away, and putting Kaepernick in is a complete waste. And because Kelly has only been there for 5 games and less than a year, I think he wants to be able to try everything he can try while there's still hope that they can salvage something out of this. I mean, if you wait till week 9 and they're 1-8, then it doesn't really matter who your quarterback is. So I think that's why. The weird thing about this, of course, being that the rumors that the 49ers and Kaepernick's people were talking about restructuring his contract so that they would feel more comfortable about playing him. I mean, that's the disturbing part, because that means they're putting contract ahead of football, and that's really not a message you want to send to an already angry fan base.
Yeah, and that's what I'd heard all along, that there was a holdup here, because did Kaepernick all of a sudden get healthier? Because that was the label, that was the story. Well, he's not healthy enough. And then Gabbert played so bad that you eventually had to get around to it, but then there was also this contract if he got hurt, and then maybe he's playing for another job and be a free agent. But is he less of a lightning rod in the San Francisco area now? Has it cooled off a little bit with the protest demonstrations?
Yeah, because I mean, you see that it's becoming, and I don't want to say it's a movement, because I don't know that enough athletes have taken up the cause. But I mean, last night in Sacramento, the anthem singer takes a knee at the end of the song. Mm-hmm. So I think it's still a touchstone for some people, but for the most part, the 49ers and their poor results have trumped social conscience again, because they've been basically unwatchable. And I would argue that they right now are probably the worst team in the league by a margin. I mean, as bad as the Bears might be, as bad as the Jaguars might be, I think right now the 49ers are the zinc standard in the NFL.
And then you got Harbaugh rolling at Michigan. Does that strike anybody as what could have been had he stayed there? Could he have possibly stayed there? Did the wrong guy leave?
Well, given the fact that the choice was between him and the owner, there was never a question of the wrong guy leaving, because if you wanted to make it a right guy, wrong guy, well, Jim Harbaugh doesn't have the money to own the team. So it was from the moment they first they started crossing shields, you knew Harbaugh was going to lose, because he doesn't have $1 billion. The odds against him winning that one are basically non-existent. So I don't know that they're I think people still say, well, this is when this team stopped being about football and it started being about the comfort of the executive suite. Mm-hmm. And that's going to linger. And it really almost doesn't matter, whether Harbaugh gets to play nothing but Rutgers till the day he retires. But that's always going to stick in people's craws here, because up until the time that the new stadium was built, the 49ers business was the 49ers. They were playing in Candlestick Park. You weren't making extra money from everything around it. It was a football operation, pure and simple. Now it's a business of which football is part of it, and you can't sell that to the fan base. And they look at Harbaugh as, sort of a last gasp before the culture changed. I don't think he could have saved this, because it's just, they've been unlucky that some good players all retired at the same time. And you saw, some of that, his last year there when they went 8-8, and they were not fun to watch either. But I think, the fans have spoken. They've decided who the enemy is here, and it's the people who stayed, not the guy who left.
Ray, thanks for getting up early. We appreciate it. Thanks for stirring it up as well.
Well, give it time. That'll blow over.
Thank you, Ray. That's Ray Ratto from Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.